Um, I have to say that I think that one of the thing that's been kind of like the driving force to to success in a lot of areas has just been that like constant evolution, right? Like I'm constantly looking at things saying how can we do it better? And I'm not afraid to be like, oh, this we're doing this really shitty and we've got to redo it. It's just like I just push back or find whether it's new technologies like that has been so huge for us and finding new technologies to create automations and again to create those systems.
What were some of the biggest technologies you adopted in your business, reflecting back over the past 7 years since purchasing, that had the biggest impact?
I would say our obviously having a really great POS, but then using that POS like correctly. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but sometimes we use pieces of it and not all of it to give you the whole picture. We adopted an inventory control software. We use Bev and Co. For all of our beverage inventory. That was, while at first glance it looks expensive, it is so worth every single penny.
But at the same time, I think people they just look at the price tag. But you mentioned
Yeah,
earlier, it's a weekly thing that we do, inventory. It's a pain in the ass. It takes all this time. When you start thinking about what's my time worth and the time of my people and what else could I
yeah.
be doing, I mean, I'm assuming, throw some numbers at us. Like, what was it costing you before to do inventory, just in labor alone?
So it's crazy. Like when I first got the price for it, I was like, um, at the end of the week, first it starts out like your manager is going to be like, hey, I'll do inventory. And then like 6 months go by and it's like, oh, I need another manager to help me. Oh, I need a bar back to help me. Oh, all of a sudden it's like this big to do. All of a sudden they don't have it done in the morning, right? We all know how this story
Yeah,
goes.
how long does it typically take?
Oh God, it was like so painful. I don't know why it was so painful.
Like a half
And
hour,
then
an hour? How long would it take to actually do inventory? Do you know, like before?
It would take them like like maybe 3 hours, and then you got to put it in the spreadsheet, and oh, the spreadsheet just crashed, and like it
I don't
was
know
just
how
like,
much. We'll just round. You got three people.
yeah,
We'll say at least $30, right?
yeah,
3 times a month or 4 times a month. So
4 times a month,
like the point is like that you got to look at that. You got to take that into
yeah.
account when you're and what's Bevco cost per month? $50? I don't know, but I'm guessing it's.
No, it's a well, I have them come in and do a full inventory.
Oh,
So
okay.
I actually, you can use them as a software piece, or you can use them where they actually come in and physically inventory. And it's interesting because to come in and physically inventory, no one can lie about what they're actually counting because that does happen, whether it's intentional or unintentional. It keeps them accountable for how things are stored, properly stored and rotated. Um, and like for example, if I have two managers counting inventory on a Sunday night, neither of them can now work Monday morning. So if you actually look at an overall schedule, you had another shift to fill because they were doing it overnight. Like there's this just, I
I,
mean, we all know trying to make that schedule, it's a thing. So let's say, like you said, labor wise, let's say it was costing you $10,000 a month in extra labor. And then you're over 2 points, 3 points, you know,
yeah,
if you save 2 points and it's well worth, that expense.
gotcha.
So it was huge.
I love it. So you mentioned that we got here because you said the one thing you do really well is you're constantly adapting. You're constantly
Yeah.
constantly looking for ways to make every little bit better. And it's funny enough, you mentioned the slight edge earlier, but we also mentioned the compound effect, or we did
Yeah.
not mention the compound effect, which I think is the book that came up before the slight edge, right? And I know there's
Yeah.
connected somehow. I think maybe one author like was the mentor to the other off
Yeah.
this compounding effect. Like if you do a bunch of these little things all over the place and you're constantly looking for a half a point or a quarter of a point, but you pick up like all these little points all over the place, they compound over time. And that's what you're doing.
And on the other side, it's like when you see something, you're like, oh, that's just $50 a month. Oh, that's just $25 a month. Oh, we were only off a 0.5%. Like, and when you go the opposite way, all of a sudden it's thousands of dollars at the end of the day. Like, oh, everybody only clocked in a half an hour early today. Okay, well, there's 20 people on this shift. All
Compound.
right, do that math.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
It goes both ways.
You mentioned POS too. You said having a great POS and using all the aspects of the POS. So I'm curious, which POS were you using?
We were using Aloha. Well, we were using, I forget, one that wasn't as popular way back when we first opened. And
Yep.
then we went to Aloha, and more recently we've just adapted to Toast, which has been amazing.
Current sponsor of the show, offering us an incredible deal, by the way.
They're amazing. You can't, there's just no reason to not be using them.
Yeah, with COVID-19, we've had a lot of trouble trying to find sponsors just because everybody's getting super conservative because, and understandably, like I don't blame.
Yeah.
We're doing our first ever CPA sponsorship, which stands for cost per acquisition. So basically, we don't get paid unless you use our links. And I have to say that Toast is probably the only platform out there that I'd be willing to do this deal with right now, just because of this.
Yeah.
You're recommending them organically. Did we talk about this before?
No.
No, we didn't. And
No, we didn't.
why I would do this deal because I believe in Toast. And what are these different aspects of Toast that you said you're using? Because you said that it's not just using a solid POS, but it's leveraging all the aspects. So what
Yep.
aspects of Toast are you leveraging that are really serving you?
Yeah, so the biggest one that I've just adapted since COVID-19 happened is that they've instead of cutting out third party delivery, they've actually integrated with a third party delivery and have a flat fee. So they work with DoorDash. So I get a delivery. I don't have to call a delivery guy. I don't have to worry about that. I looked at this other iPad that comes in on. It's integrated right with Toast, and there's somebody at my door with DoorDash. It's a flat $7. There's no 20%, 30%. And it's just been like totally streamlined. The second thing is now that people can pay on their phones, so they don't have to touch anything. The handhelds. So we have the handhelds that go to the table. I think we're up to like 12 of them now because we're an outdoor restaurant. This is how I see. This is why I got Toast. This is my vision. Is that I have a waiter or a server that's on the floor, and all they're doing is going to table. Hey, Eric, how are you? My name's Danielle. I'm waiting on you today. What's your drink of choice? You tell me, I ring it in. Let me share with you a little bit about Oceans. And while we're talking, your drink shows up with a runner right in front of you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is, I see service with this being, not servers anymore, but people that guide your dining experience with runners bringing the items to you in like real time.
I love that.
Right?
I love it. And think about, I think one thing I love about the handhelds and the tablets is one of the biggest issues in a full service restaurant prior to this was the bottlenecking at the POS. And I don't know,
Yeah.
but like I'm a knucklehead. I can't keep something in my head for more than 3 or 4 minutes before I start to forget what it was. And
Yeah.
that's where you start making mistakes and like having to keep all that in your head or translate it. Like you're putting it into a technology eventually, right? Why not do it
Yep.
as soon as you get the message and minimize the likelihood for mistakes? And then you're also you're bypassing that whole bottleneck where it takes forever just to get the order in because everybody has to use the same 2 or 3 POSs.
It's so funny you say that. Our number one challenge when we told the servers to go with the handhelds is they still would walk over to the POS and type in it. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And I had one of my servers turn to me one day and he goes, Danielle, for 20 years, I've been waiting on tables and we go to the table, we go to the POS, we go to the kitchen, we walk back to the table. Like these are our steps. I don't know where to go. What do I do? So it's like changing that habit, that habitual habit of going to the POS and pumping it in. The second challenge is when you're at a table, you've got the attention of say 10 people, you're waiting on a 10 top and they're all staring at you and you're plugging in the order. Now, what I like about Toast is that the device doesn't look like a phone. When it looks like a phone, it looks like you're texting and you're ignoring somebody, but their device is a little bigger. And everybody's staring at you and you get nervous that you're not doing it fast enough. So I had one server say, because we had kind of like a round table, what do you like? What don't you like once we adopted it after a month? And one server said, he's like, you've got to kind of block out your insecurity. It was so interesting you put it that way. And just focus on one person and say, I'm taking your order. And if you look at them and punch it in as you look at them, and then turn to the next person and look at them and punch it in, you command the attention of the table and they work at your speed as you're punching it in. And
Yeah.
you can sit there and go through every special order, every special request, and it's nice and simple. And like you said, you don't forget, it's in there.
If you enjoyed this video, please help us out. You can do it by liking, sharing, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon. It really helps out. And don't forget, there's a complete archive of every episode with show notes at restaurantunstoppable.com.